some people will be trickling in as we come along. Thank you guys so much for coming to the Future of E-Voting featuring CINC Systems and HOAst. We are very excited to have you here today. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping while I share the agenda. This is a recorded webinar, so if you have to step away for anything, or if you're having trouble, any kind of technical issues, no worries. We will be sending out a recording of this and any other important links and need to know information later tonight. We also did accept questions during registration. We'll be answering as many of those as we can. If there's a question that comes up that you ask us in the chat that we weren't able to get to today, we'll be sure to follow up with you. And of course, after you get the recount, if you would like any other information, if you have a specific question, or if you'd like to set up time to go over HOAst one-on-one with your account rep or with CINC Systems, please let us know. So today we are going to talk about trends in e-voting, what this means to you and the HOA and COA industry, and how HOAst really sets us apart within the industry. Then our fearless leaders, Dan and Eileen McCready, the founders of HOAst, will be giving you a high-level demo of the product. For CINC clients, we actually have very in-depth demos happening twice a week right now. So you're going to get some of the really cool features today, but you can sign up for one of those in-depth demos as well. And we'll also be going into different Q&As that we received from your registration. We're going to get your questions answered. So with that, it is my pleasure to pass it off to our Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing, Shay Dietrich. He is going to be sharing with you trends in e-voting and how HOAst comes along with that.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so first we're actually going to start off with we'll have a few questions kind of set up like a poll that we'll take throughout this. So we'll start there first, and we'll ask the question, how much participation do you believe your HOAs have on average for their elections currently? I will defer to Kim on how long I should pause to let everybody answer that. So I think we covered everything from less than 10 to greater than 70. I'm going to pause until Kim tells me otherwise, who is on mute. She might be telling me.
That's so funny. I was on mute. Okay. We're going to end the poll there. Looks like the majority of y'all say 10 to 20% is your participation.
10 to 20%
on
Kim?
average. Yep.
Yep. Okay. So I got really excited about starting this out this way. And the reason is because I think, we welcomed HOAst into the CINC family, and why did we do that? And I think that what we're always wanting to do is provide you as our clients the ability to help shift homeowner apathy to homeowner enthusiasm. I think it's really exciting how HOAst can be a pivotal part of that as we continue to explore ways that we can do that and help you do that. Why is it hard to get homeowners involved? Well, in some cases, the homeowner just doesn't fully appreciate the impact they can make. They don't know the impact they can make. But in other cases, we may not be communicating with them in a manner that really instills the impact that they can make. And I think from that spirit is really why we're here today and why we're talking about that. So let's dive in just a little bit more. And we're already going to come back at you with another poll. What's the #1 communication across all generations of homeowners? What's the preference and how they communicate? And I find this very interesting because sometimes it ends up in ways that you wouldn't expect. I know that my 22-year-old daughter always calls me, for instance, which surprises me. I'll give that just a few minutes. All right, are we good, Kim?
I think so, yep.
Still coming in?
Yep, and the #1 that everyone here said was email.
Email, okay, good. Very interesting. So we did do we surveyed homeowners across the country, two or 3 months ago, roughly, just to understand their preferences as homeowners and what their expectations were. And text messaging was the preferred communication for all generations. So it came back in all generations, their number one way as homeowners. And that may be why we got email in a business setting, but as homeowners, as consumers, the number one way they prefer to communicate is through text messaging. So we found that very interesting, and we promise this will be relevant here in just a few more slides. So why do we embrace new technologies? We know that regardless of age, every demographic embraces new technology and they're willing to learn it. But let's talk about the main reason why. Why are we willing to embrace new technology? What really drives our adoption to it? And think about it. Why did you join Facebook? Now, there'll probably be some of you raising your hands going, I'm off of Facebook now. But ultimately, why did you join Facebook? And was it your kids? Was it your grandkids? Was it the ability to see family? Was it the ability to communicate with people that you'd known in the past? That's really why we did it, right? We joined because we want to stay connected to friends from college, see photos and videos of our kids or grandkids more often. And in fact, the surge of baby boomers on the app is because of the way in which they can communicate with their grandchildren. It's also a heck of a lot easier to chat on Facebook than to pick up the phone each time. And you get to more people and you get to them faster. People are willing to embrace new technologies to build connections, and those connections to the right technology are faster, easier, and more impactful. This same connectivity can be applied through an e-voting platform such as HOAst. Because if an HOA is offering an e-voting solution, they're offering a faster, easier, and more impactful means of connection. So it really is quickly becoming the standard for HOAs and condo associations in the United States. And as you guys know, obviously, I think COVID had a big impact in this, where a lot of states now are quickly moving through legislation and making sure that e-voting is obviously allowed in the state. So half the states right now and more states are adopting e-voting measures every day. It's far less complicated and less expensive than paper voting, and it's a more secure way to have your voice heard. Okay, so let's talk about what it means for everybody involved. What does it mean for your management company? Well, obviously, as we talked about, you want to increase your homeowner engagement. The more people that are involved, the more they feel like they're a part of it. Obviously, it's at the forefront. You want to keep managers happy, and you want to avoid lost time on chasing down votes. Additional revenue streams by voting across numerous topics. Not just the annual meetings, but throughout the year, and then increased security. Those are all the benefits for you as the management company. So what does it mean for your boards? Well, avoid additional meetings and associated costs, a smooth transition of new board members with transparency, limit repeat meeting mailings, and understand and report on homeowner engagement. All critical, all things that obviously are going to help your boards and help you serve your boards well. And then my favorite, what does it mean for your homeowners? They can vote from anywhere and ensure that their voice is heard. Life is busy. I'm a very quick personal testament. This is my favorite. I'm on the road all the time. I want to be more involved with my HOA. Those decisions are important to me, but I'm not in the community with e-voting. I'm not even, we'll leave out the rest of it, but it's very difficult for me to be able to be involved when I do want to be involved. And I wish somebody would come to me with options where I can be more involved. Ease of logging into a familiar system and increased participation drives diplomacy within a community. And that's certainly true. So why HOAst and why CINC? Well, because of this, we can provide a single sign-on through homeowners' existing portals, which will drive engagement. They're already familiar with it. They might pay their dues on there. There might be a number of different reasons they're already adopting to the portal. This just gives them a further opportunity to be able to vote. Full integration with CINC homeowner data, so no more spreadsheets, no more uploading homeowners. And as a CINC product, it's an opportunity to create a significant revenue stream through innovative offerings. And I think Here after a while, when we get into Q&A, I'm pretty certain there's quite a few questions around this and how can this be the case? And I can promise you those are coming and those will be addressed. And I think you'll be pretty excited about what we've put together. I think what we're offering is very unique in that we're providing this to you as management companies and allowing you to have a go-to-market strategy. And one of the things that I think we're all looking forward to is how we can help you go to market with it. What can we do to share the value, to share the benefit, to explain why this is really good? And I know we've got some things in the works that'll allow you the opportunity to do that, but you will hear at the end of this where we'll dive into this a little bit more.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shay. That was a great overview of e-voting trends in general and what this means to you and some of the benefits and big call outs with HOAst and CINC Systems. It's now my pleasure to have Eileen and Dan McCready, the founders of HOAst Inc., take over the screen and show you some of the really great nuts and bolts behind the incredible platform that they created together.
Morning, everyone. This is Eileen, or Dan and Eileen. So I'm going to just have a couple of opening remarks, and then Dan will take you through the nuts and the bolts. I want to underscore a couple of things that I heard Shay talk about. Most important to us, I think, when we started this business was, why were we doing it? And the reason we did it was because we existed in an HOA, and we understood what it meant to have our voices heard and to know that our voice had been heard and that we were part of something. So that's really the why of our starting, to really give people a voice. People feel like they have a say in their lives, and we thought that was really important. Now, the other thing I'll say is Dan and I have been married for 6, 7 years. So I'll interrupt him a lot as we go through this. So that's just what happens, right? So here we go. Go ahead, Dan, for now.
Hi there. This is Dan. I'm going to show you a couple of things here. But first of all, I'm going to show you what voting looks like to the member, the voting member. And I want you to understand that I'm going to log on here as a voting member. This is not something you will have to do. If you're using web access, then your members are logging on to web access. And then we are integrated in that single sign-on. That means they will not get another log-on screen. But for this demo, we will start this way.
And this is not intended to be a tutorial. It is, as Kim mentioned, a demo, a high-level demo. Training will come later for you.
So when the voter logs on or hits the electronic voting button from the web access portal, they will immediately land on the votes. These are the votes that were set up. The reason I have 3 votes here is because the first one is a proxy vote, limited proxy, limited directed proxy. The next one is a secret vote. The third one is a survey question or unofficial vote or practice vote. And then we have the general proxy provided as well. What I want you to see here is that from the standpoint of the voter, it makes no difference what these votes are. The voter's job is to just log on or to access this and to vote. When we say something like it's a proxy vote or a secret vote, that has to do with the requirements of how we handle the voting, not the actual voting act itself. So I'm going to click here to vote. And I got, do you approve the budget? This shows you can attach any document to any vote. I'll show you another one in a minute. Do you approve the budget? I say yes. I do my electronic signature. I say vote and confirm. That vote's done. And because there's another one, we don't even have to pick out the other one. We automatically land in the other one. Here it says I can pick out one of these for the board. And again, to show you, the attachment here is the candidate information sheets, in case you don't know who these people are. I will say I want Lincoln, again, sign, say vote, and confirm. Now here's the unofficial vote or the survey. Again, everything is done the exact same way. So if you run a survey, you're showing the members exactly what they'll experience in a real election. Are you just a holiday party? Absolutely. Sign it. vote, and confirm. We like to say that you can vote electronically or online faster than you can find a stamp. It's just a very, very sweet, easy process. You should be able to vote in easily less than 30 seconds. And what I'm not going to show you quite yet is when you vote electronically, the voter always gets an email receipt verifying their vote was valid, their vote was received, and their vote has already been counted. Now let's show you just the standpoint of what the admin sees. Now I'm going to log on as an admin. Now the system knows I'm not a voter, so I don't land on the voting page. I just land on a landing page here. This is not notices going anywhere. Nothing is sent to anyone. This is just a landing page for the admins. Now, what your job is to do is to create the meeting and the vote. So if I go to owners meetings, here's the one we were voting on. It says here the voting was open. We tallied at 6.1% quorum at this moment. But let's start from scratch, like we're going to do the whole job over again here. You're going to click on new meeting. You're going to name the meeting. This should be the same as what you have for paper. I'll say this is a demo vote. You have a location. If you're not going to meet, it will be online. Otherwise, it will be the location where you're meeting. And so let's say we're going to close it or meet at 2 p.m. on the 30th. Now, these fields are only for Florida. The opt-in, opt-out dates, you should know what those are and put them in there. I add the meeting. This is telling me that when I create a vote, it's not open or visible until I say so. So that was step one, create the meeting. It should take about 30 seconds. Next is we create the vote. So I go up here to vote. Here, this is telling me that the vote's not open, the vote's invisible. Let's create a not secret vote. Click on this and I say, you approve the budget. I can attach the budget if I wish. I can say the max number. If this is a yes, no, the max number will be 1. You can choose 1 yes or no. You can't choose both. And you got to choose one or the other. And the choices are yes and no. You save it. So from this standpoint, there's only 2 steps left to do. One is to uncheck that box so that it's visible. And the second step is to send an email so that people know it's available and time to vote. That is today's demo.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan and Eileen. I think the theme of that was easy. And I saw in the chat, looks like people are voting for Abe Lincoln. So I guess Abe is the winner for today's vote. Okay, so thank you guys so much for interacting with us. We have a few questions that have popped up in the Q&A. What I'm going to do first, Dan and Eileen are going to answer some of our frequently asked questions that were asked during registration. We're going to go ahead and get those answered. Then if we have a little bit of extra time at the end, I will ask some of the questions that popped up in the chat. If we don't get to your question, we'll be sure to have that in the recap. All right, so here we go. The first question, how do you prevent multiple homeowners from the same address voting on the same issue?
Yeah, and that's probably the easiest one of all. In this case, the system simply prevents more than one vote per address from being submitted. Now, we recognize that there may be more than one voter, one eligible voter in the community, but once that first vote is received, the system will disallow any other votes from that address.
Easy peasy indeed. All right, the next question. What strategies do you have for handling homeowners who refuse to give you their email address, and how do you sell the platform and e-voting to them?
We recommend having a survey question to begin the entire process, something unofficial where you're taking votes or opinions electronically only. This offers the opportunity for the voting member to experience electronic voting without having to vote for something that is more serious like a board election. Have a survey question that people really want to answer, really want to get involved in, and have it out there as a way to experience the whole process. First of all, you admin, you will be able to create the survey question, and now you'll know how to create any vote. The member will vote on the survey question, and the member now will know how to vote electronically on any vote.
And about people not having an email address. The fact of the matter is email is not a requirement for e-voting, right? So each person can be provided with the URL for their specific community's voting site, or actually they don't even need to if they're on web access, right? They'll just have a log on. But if it's someone who doesn't have web access, then they can simply be given the URL for their particular voting site and log on to that URL.
Excellent. And that was an excellent question. All right, here's a bit of a toughie. Will Google Forms be an accepted form of voting?
Now, Google Forms is a way of creating a document or a vote or a ballot. If your state allows it, you can create the vote that way, and that can be entered into HOAst. But in HOAst, any Google form that is allowable in your state would be considered a paper vote for HOAst. And please consider the authentication issues and security aspects of using your Google form. But again, for HOAst, it's considered another type of paper vote.
All right. Wondering how you deal with bylaws that offer nominations from the floor at an annual meeting. I believe this was asked in the Q&A as well, worded a bit differently, but pretty much same question.
Sure. So if an election is set up to allow nominations from the floor, then the person who's creating the ballot, as Dan showed you, would use the option of saying, yes, we want to allow write-ins. And then there'd be a blank line or 2 or 3, however many write-ins are allowed. And nomination comes on the floor. The person can simply type in the name of the person who has been nominated from the floor that they wish to choose. So HOAst does accommodate that very nicely.
Awesome. Does an e-vote verify that the person who is voting is the owner?
Actually, more specifically, HOAst will verify that they are a voter. Not all owners can vote. And we're going to get that information from CINC. The admin's job is to make sure that the CINC data is up to date, because that's where we're moving in the voter.
Righty. What is the current law nationally on e-voting for associations? Can we all use electronic annual meeting documents?
So currently e-voting, as you can see on the bullet here, is offered in some 24, 25 states, I guess. So, and it's growing quickly. Obviously, it's going to be the way it happens. It just is. So there is no overwhelming national law that requires or that provides instructions for how any state might do that. Now, the Uniform Electronic Transaction Act is something that every state has a version of. Every state has a version of that. And in fact, there is a National Uniform Electronic Transaction Act. Now, don't take me to jail if I said it wrong, because some states might have a slight variation on that particular thing, but every state has it. And in many of those UETAs, the statement is that any document, any electronic document has the same force and effect of a paper document. Likewise, a signature under the UETA has a digital signature has the same force and effect in law as does a pen to paper signature. Now, mind you, I'm not an attorney, Dan's not an attorney, so if you ever have a question about it, be sure to verify it with your very own attorney, but make sure you refer them to the Uniform Electronic Transaction Act. They may be familiar with it in different degrees.
I love it. All right, I think this is my favorite question. How does HOAst differ from competitors?
Well, the first big one is that we are fully integrated into CINC. If you're using CINC Web Access, we're completely into CINC, even to the point of having a single sign-on. So you can't get better than that. And there is no exporting data. There's no having to create a spreadsheet. It also keeps track of members who want to vote electronically and then cast their vote. So you can actually send an email out saying send an email to those who have said they want to vote electronically and have not yet voted. That's a big deal. There's also a wonderful audit trail that will verify that everything was handled correctly. And last of all is we provide mail labeled data in an Excel spreadsheet, so that if your state allows you to skip the postal mailing of a group of people because they said they want to vote electronically, and most do, then you'll be able to use HOAst to create that list that need to be postal mailing.
So I would like, Dan, for you to say a little bit more about the audit trail for secret elections.
Yeah, for secret elections, you're not allowed to see how the election is coming along. You're not allowed to see who's winning prior to it being done. And there is no way of seeing, taking a quick view at who's winning without being captured on the audit trail. So if somebody says, we don't think that this was done right, the audit trail will prove that no one took a sneak peek.
Now, of course, you can see quorum as it's growing. What you see is the quorum that we're achieving. The system doesn't know what quorum you need, but it'll tell you the quorum for that.
Awesome. All right, with CINC and HOAst, do these two systems talk easily to each other, and how much prep work is required?
Yes, the systems speak to each other every 24 hours. The systems will provide an update, or CINC will provide an update to HOAst, so that you are always consistent with your CINC data. So if you keep your CINC data up to date, automatically you know that the HOAst of the electronic voting data is also up to date. And as far as the prep work, if we have your association ID that it connects us to CINC, then you just sit back and the site is set up for you.
Love it. Easy peasy.
Can I add one more thing to that, please, Kim? So that's the prep work in terms of getting the site established. Of course, there's work that a user would want to do in terms of familiarizing oneself with the site and what it does and everything. But that's something that's easily done. I just don't want you to think that you can log on day one and know exactly what you're doing. You need to prepare.
Yeah, good point. All right. All right, so this next question is actually, I'm going to go ahead and answer it. So we did have a lot of questions about pricing, rollout, and integration for sync clients. The first thing that I'm going to say is some of you on this webinar today are not sync clients. We're so happy that you're on, and we're so happy to showcase this new tool in our arsenal to you. And we think it's time for you to get in sync. So if you are not in sync yet, but you want to learn more about HOAst and the e-voting platform, as well as what Sync Systems has to offer for you for 2022 and beyond, please connect with us. Respond once you receive the recording and the recap, and we will be more than happy to get in touch with you. Now, for those of you who are sync clients, so the pricing model is a base fee per association, in addition to a per door fee, and that total's paid annually. Also, association management companies are offered wholesale pricing to build a revenue stream. Now, in order to go into all of that nuts and bolts, is going to kind of differ for each company. So the best thing that you can do is get in touch with your account representative. I know that they've been calling you, and some of you have been joining our twice a week. It's every Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday, I believe it's at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and Thursday, I want to say it's 2 p.m. Eastern time. Dan and Eileen will correct me if I'm incorrect.
You are correct.
All right, so HOAst Tuesdays and HOAst Thursdays, that's where you can get an in-depth demo, and then follow up and connect with your account representative. Your representative is either Andrew Flessler, Coley Stevenson, or Cindy Sullivan. Also, if you go to syncsystems.com/host, you can read up a little bit more about the platform and fill out a form to be connected with your account representative ASAP. So we have a few more minutes before we are done today. We actually got through a bit early, so I'm going to go through the chat. The lovely Ryan McCready has been answering a lot of questions through here, so I'm going to go ahead and check the chat to see what has not been answered yet. So bear with me. That was answered. Okay, here's one question that came up. Dan and Eileen, are you okay if we do a little bit of on the fly?
Oh, sure.
Okay. How does it work if an owner assigns a proxy to a neighbor?
Okay, if an owner assigns a proxy to a neighbor, then that means that neighbor can vote for them. Now we're talking about a general proxy, not a directed limited proxy. HOAst helps that out a lot, because you could have somebody who's been nominated as a proxy for, say, 50 addresses. HOAst will tell the admin of those 50 addresses how many of those addresses have not voted. So imagine that you're the proxy for 50 addresses, but say 20 of them have voted, then you do not get 50 votes, you get 30 votes. So HOAst is keeping track of that. The fact that you are assigned as a proxy holder gives you the ability to vote only for the unvoted addresses. That's handled internally by HOAst, and it's handled with the admin helping out.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, let's see. So single sign-on, if it's live or not, I'll go ahead and answer that. It is going to be live any minute now, by minute any day now. So hang tight. We are just doing some last minute testing with that. Let's see. I'll do one more question here, and then I believe we can wrap up. How does HOAst work with paper ballots mailed?
If it's a paper ballot that comes in, first of all, if it's a non-secret election or a proxy vote, then most states allow those to be handled as fast as they come in. So the admin can log on to the system and record that paper vote. When they do that, that eliminates the possibility for the electronic voter to vote. Because if you have an electronic vote, you can't enter paper, and if you have paper, you can't enter electronic unless the admin has the ability to override that by deleting one of those. Now, if they're talking about a election ballot, in a lot of states, election ballots are secret. In the case of a secret vote, if that's dealing with your states, those should not be looked at, should not be counted, should not be handled until the meeting happens. And then your job is to make sure the paper is not a duplicate, and HOAst will tell you if it is or not. And then you handle that the way you've always handled it, inputting eventually the total into HOAst, so that we can add the totals of the electronic with the totals of paper. It's a very easy process.
Awesome. All right, I'll do one more question. And then if your question was not answered, again, we will send a recap and a recording later tonight, probably expected around 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. The final question that I'll ask is, what if an owner wants to change their vote after initially voting?
If an owner wants to change their vote, again, I have to separate to not secret and secret. This time I'll do the secret first. If the owner wants to change their secret votes, that's only allowed, as to my knowledge, only in the state of Illinois. But we can have that, but that's very, very odd. Normally, the secret vote must be very secret, must not be able to be put together, which means you cannot get it back. Most states don't allow secret votes to be replaced. Now, in the case of a not secret vote or a proxy vote, the decision to replace it is up to the admin. Certainly, if a vote has come in, not secret, and the admin deletes it, the member can vote again electronically. Similarly, if a paper vote comes in for a not secret, a proxy vote, and that is deemed to be the more current proxy vote, the admin can remove the prior one and put in the new one. Again, these are the abilities of the admin, but the admin must follow their own state rules.
Great question and great answer. All right, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this session today about the future of e-voting, and I hope this gets you guys excited about HOAst and CINC Systems. We had a blast with you. We'll send a recording and a recap. We'll answer any final questions. Ryan's answering a few in the chat right now, but it looks like we're pretty wrapped up. So if you think of anything else, you know where we are, please feel free to reach out to us. And again, thank you so much for your time today. Dan and Eileen, y'all are brilliant. Can't thank you enough. Let's give it up for Dan and Eileen. Woohoo!
Thank you, Kim.
All right, thanks so much, everyone. I'm going to stay on one for just a second to answer a question for Lorraine Bowman, and then we'll be ending this webinar. Thank you, everyone.